you would have seen a common trait in a founder, right? I mean, when you speak to, you
Yeah.
meet so many people being a VC, right? So what do you see? I mean, especially this is to my audience. I want to understand whoso wants to start the business. What is it like, venture capitalists or joint ventures, or you call about like, angel investors, all these fancy names. They come into that rooms.
Yeah.
These guys go and do the pitches. What do they look for actually? Why people don't get funded? Or why, if you're funding somebody, why are you funding somebody?
Yeah.
If you can detail it out, it'll be
Of
helpful.
course.
Yeah.
I think you have the general metrics of second time founder, clear market fit, understanding the market, past executive experience. I'm not gonna touch upon that because everyone knows it, right?
Everyone knows,
That's a pre-given. If you don't have that, you're not even walking into the room.
Yeah.
So in order to even take the step into the room and get these meetings with the VCs, with the angels, you need to have a clear understanding of the market and have some sort of track record, and know the market that you're sitting in, the competition and all the data. So to know the finer details. But I think after that, it's very much on the individual itself. I think one of the focus that I really like to see is grit. In terms of how have these founders not given up. So and this is where the slight difference in mentality is, and you see this with a lot of South Asian founders who are doing really well, and hence why Aryan Ventures was created. That they will never come up to you in the sense that I have an idea, give me money. They will always think, I have an idea, let me try put my own money, let me try build something, let me try test it out, let me go to the market, let me see where I am. I'm breaking my own back for as long as I can. I might get a couple thousand from mom, dad, friends, family, whatever, and bring some results, and then I will take it to the investor, which is what I love.
Proof of concept.
But they've gone all in. They've tried. They've put their own money out. So that I think is a big factor for me, that they have gone in themselves. They have built. They've iterated. They have failed, and now they're showing to me that they are pivotable, right? So being light on your feet is super key, especially if you're in the AI industry. I mean, AI, as you know, is changing so rapidly, right? So if you're building and you're rigid, 6 months time you're wiped out. So I think adaptability, grit, and I think openness to learn is I think three factors after your general basics. I think those are big things.
Amazing. And I do watch this. This may be a controversial one, but I still want to ask this. You see this all fancy shows on the TV, right? I know there's a set of VCs, angels who sits outside of the market. They're never seen, but there's this fancy shows. You know whom I'm talking about?
Course.
The Shark Tanks of the world.
Yeah.
Does this really work, Anmol? You can be
Does
honest.
Shark Tank work?
Yeah. Does it really work? I mean, whatever says in the Shark Tank, is that true? Do people really get that kind of funding and all? Like, the reason I'm asking this question, there's so much of emotion, drama. I know it's for TV, it works probably, but is that how the venture capital rooms looks like as well? Is it a clear depiction of what happens in the venture capital rooms?
I think partly.
Okay.
So I mean, Mark Cuban, if you see, he's done over 100 investments. Laurie, Kevin.
I'm referring more to Shark Tank India.
Oh right, Shark Tank India. Okay, right.
I know you're talking about what you. Okay.
Shark Tank India has only been through 3 seasons, so I mean, Aman is a good example. Piyush is a good example of guys who have sort of been there and done that.
Ritesh is great.
Ritesh is a great example. Building out oil from the level where he is. I think, but they have to add a bit of masala, as they say, right? So I think they have to make it commercial in the sense that the general audience is going to like it. I think the big thing with Shark Tank is the publicity it gives you. So a lot of founders, so when sharks say we're investing, it's a contingent offer. So even when they say I'm giving you 10 lakhs or 1 million or whatever number you want to say it, it's contingent upon the due diligence.
Correct.
So so one of our startups went to start a Shark Tank US, right? And they didn't get the offer, unfortunately, but they were there, and their sales went up like 3,000%. But the big thing with Shark Tank is the publicity it gives you, right? Shark Tank US, Shark Tank India, I think there's about 300 million, watches that are available. So just getting on there is a big plus. So a lot of people go in with that mindset. But I think the venture world they sort of capture is a little bit different. I mean, they're very open to consumer market. I mean, on those markets, we've seen everything from light bulbs to, clothing, to pencil sharpeners to food.
True.
The general venture world would sort of lead to one specificness. I mean, I've never seen that open of agnosticity. I mean, we call ourselves relatively agnostic in terms of B2B software, but usually an investor will be able to have significant value if they have certain bit of expertise. I mean, itself, software is a big ask. That's why we tend to focus on certain areas, but still relatively open in opportunities. But I don't think being that open is that beneficial. But I think the biggest thing with these India sharks or US sharks is that the public they can get in, the network they can get in. And it goes back ultimately to, your network is your network.
So it does work.
It does work
It
to a
does
certain
work. I
extent.
mean, if founders are going into Shark Tank, it does work to kind of pivot and expand their networks and make it big. One question I have, Anmol, is like when you sit in these venture rooms, right? I mean, somebody comes and pitches to you. Do you look at the product, like, especially talking about the tech space of it? Like, is the product which takes the front foot, or is it more the founder who takes the front foot? Because sometimes I've seen, like, mostly I've seen through the Dragons Den, Shark Tanks of the world, the product looks amazing, but the presentation or the founder probably is not promising.
Yeah.
They lose the funding.
Yeah.
And at times the product looks average. I mean, it's not a groundbreaking product.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a lot of change to the world.
Yeah.
But they still go out with millions.
Yeah.
So is there a learning for the founders there?
Yeah, I think definitely invest in teams. So I was talking about this when I was at the TikTok office and we did a panel there, and I said, and it was sort of taken up, and I said, I will any day of the week take a bang average product and a great team over a great product and a bang average team, because in the early stage it's all about execution. And I know if I have great people with great execution skills, the product will do well. So I think if you can build out a solid team, you're a solid executive guy with experience in doing stuff, and you can build a strong marketing, or you can build a strong technical team via bringing in a strong CTO and a strong CMO, strong commercial officer, and then off the back of that you have a solid team of advisors. I think that gives us a big confidence. And I think you also asked for what we look for. I think just touching point back on that is who have you got on board as your advisors, your board members, because ultimately they are your first investors in terms of equity, right? In the sense that they might not be putting cash in, but if you can get these ex-MDs, ex-VPs from Facebook, Google, Meta to come on board and say, yeah, we will give you 3 hours a month and advise you and open doors for you, that's massive, because everyone is trying to get these guys on board, right? Most people are even asking to pay them to be advisors. But if you can get them advisors for free, I mean, you're giving equity, obviously, but that's a big telltale signs for us. So, one of the things I always scroll down to the pages of Deck is like, okay, who is their advisory team? Who have they been able to bring on board? Because if you're not able to sell to them and you're not even asking them for their money, then it's a big red flag on my end.
It does build the credibility for the team
100%.
as well once you
100%.
have big names.
Yeah.